Everybody wants to grow their organization. The thing is, people are just trying to figure out which vehicle can they use to get there faster and at the lowest cost. So in this video, I'm going to address the B2B pipeline problem that is prevalent among every organization around the world. And then we're going to talk about how we can start to think through that problem in order to solve it over the long term. So we're going to go back a little bit and really get into the kind of weeds as to how this all comes together. All right, so stick with me, stay with me, bear with me, because by the end, you're going to have a better understanding as how you can start to think through addressing the B2B pipeline problem. And if this is the first time that you're ever seeing me on your screen, my name is Hannah Ajikawo. I am the CEO and founder of Revenue Funnel, a consulting organization helping B2B scale-ups to create and execute plans that generate 4x more pipeline. So this is a topic that's close to my heart. So let's just get into some fundamental stuff. You know, I like to start with a foundation. So every business on earth, in my opinion, exists to create value and in return, hopefully generate revenue. Now, this is going to be increasing their potential to generate revenue. That's either going to happen right now, or it's going to be creating value that they can actually gain revenue from in the future. That's the fundamental truth. Okay, whether you're a charity, not for profit, whatever it is, everybody is here to make money. Now, the thing is, it seems really easy on the surface when you put it that way, but it's not. So let's just get into some detail here. So the first thing is you have your B2B organization. You have your B2B organization here. Okay, so this is not mirroring properly. So let's get my camera up. There we go. That's annoying. All right, so we got our B2B organization here. And then we have our customer here. I'm going to try and do it in capitals. I'm also going to try and project my voice because I don't have my mic on. All right, now, everything we're trying to do here is to connect our organization to customers, because essentially once we do that, we get revenue. So there's a few things that we need to do in order to connect the dots between them. Now, any organization is here to create value, as I said in the opening, right? So we have to think about value creation. When we create enough value and find a way to connect with our ideal customer, a customer takes that value and they realize it. So this is where we get value realization. Now, the way in which value realization is often going to be something at some point that turns into a tangible, measurable outcome that generates some kind of financial reward for that customer. So when we're thinking about value creation on our side as the B2B organization, it can be broken down into two main categories. The first one is everything that we do that needs to be operationalized. So these are the functions and the things, the products, the internal business units, the things that allow us to run an operation. On the other side, we have commercialization, or things that need to be commercialized. And this is things that we put into effect to allow for financial gain. Now, the operationalized stuff and the operationalization is things that we're not going to be focused on too much right now. We're going to focus on the commercial thing, the thing that we put into effect in order to enable us to get financial gain. And this is where we're going to focus our attention on, because this is where we come in with the go-to-market. And you know me, I like to add strategy to that. All right. So the commercialization of our organization is our ability, and so how effective we are, at developing and commercializing our business is reflective in our ability to create a go-to-market strategy that connects the dots between our organization and our customer. So remember, our go-to-market strategy is a cohesive plan that is created to help us to deliver our products and services to our ideal customers, our ideal market. So our job as revenue leaders, as growth leaders, is to get really good at commercializing our organization. That is developing cohesive and comprehensive plans that allow us to connect to our customer. Now, the thing that happens here is a lot of organizations on their pathway to growth, even when they're at a reasonable size, start to experience a breakdown in how well they're commercializing their organization. It gets more complicated. There's more red tape. There's more legal obligations. There's more community obligations, societal things that they have to do to keep their operations going that allow them to fuel the commercialization of their business. But what happens is it comes very much a tick box exercise rather than investing in the creativity that's required to continue to optimize the commercial side of their organization. So what happens is their go-to-market strategy sticks to, let's use some different colors. Their go-to-market strategy becomes a BAU. It's just business as usual. Marketing keeps sending out campaigns. Sales keeps selling stuff. Customer success, if you have one, keep managing customers, keep them happy. Account management, if you do have them, just keep calling customers and keep selling. They start to create a disconnect between what they're trying to do, so their commercial side of their business and their go-to-market strategy, with what a buyer actually needs. So now let's flip the switch. Can we see the bottom of the board? Yeah, let's do that. So let's flip the switch. Now we have a customer that's saying, I need to grow my organization, as we know. In order to do that, I need to experience some kind of value realization. So what they're doing now is they're on the receiving end. They're saying, hey, B2B org. They're saying, hey, B2B org, can you help me? Can you do something that's going to help me improve how I operationalize my business? Remember, it's always operationalize or commercialize. Can you help me do something that's going to improve how I operationalize my business in order for me to realize value? And the way we're realizing value is by creating value, right? So can you see that? Can you even see that? So what happens is it's just a cycle. So let's get into the customer's headspace right now. So in the customer's head, they are looking at the issues, the challenges, and the things that are happening inside their organization, right? They're like, we got all these things, we got all these objectives and all these goals that we have, and we need something from an external party, an external vendor, some kind of tech, something that's going to impact how we operationalize our business in order for us to reach a desired outcome, which at some point is going to be their value realization from what they're investing in that thing, but it's going to create value somewhere in their marketplace and in their customer base as well, right? So you've got this customer, and what we want to do is get into their head. This is how we think about optimizing our go-to-market strategy. So what we're trying to understand is what decisions does I should have wrote this in capital, buyer need to make in order to work with us being the B2B organization. We need to figure out, how do we get closer to that customer? What is the things that we have to help them navigate with the decision making to make us get into that customer business? And that is essentially what we try to build a go-to-market strategy around. We try to figure out what are the decisions that they need to make, the ideal customer, and how do we operationalize our business, create a commercialized outcome from those operations that inform a go-to-market strategy that connect us to that customer. right? Sounds like a lot of things, but I hope you're sticking with me here. You can rewind if I'm talking too fast. So what does this mean that we have to understand? Right, I'm going to go to another page. We've got customer. Remember, we've got B2B org. That's us. We are the B2B company trying to make all the money. All right, so with the B2B org, over here. And we said decisions. Let's put that there, decisions. All right. So we're trying to understand the decisions that a customer needs to make. Now, the thing is, we underestimate the amount of decisions that a customer makes. So what we do, we're going to start from our side, actually. So let me go over here. I wish I was ambidextrous so I could write with my left hand. That'd be so good. Or maybe I can flip the camera so it looks like I'm writing with my left hand. Okay, so on the B2B org side, as part of our go-to-market strategy, now at Revenue Funnel, we say there's 12 areas to this. I'm just going to keep it really high level. We try to create our processes, our systems, right? So you usually hear people say things like process, systems. Well, they kind of integrate those together. People, process, and systems, right? You need to get the people in, you need to get the processes in place, and you need the systems to make it work. This is okay, but it's very limiting. Okay, I think it's a little bit too old school. But what this does create is we then develop what's important to us that we can measure to go out and win business. Something like that, right? So we go out and we create all of these systems, processes, pricing, all these things, and we say, we're just going to go out now and we're just going to walk this tightrope to get all the customers in the world. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's great. Now, the thing that we've seen in the market over the last 5-6 years is that it's just not as predictable as that. It's not easy for us to just be like, if we develop this sales process and we make 100 calls and 100 emails and we do 52 campaigns and 5 events, we're going to get to that customer. Instead, what's happening is it's just become a little bit more convoluted. And this is because the way in which customers have to make decisions is changing. Now, I'm going to make another video on all the research and all the stuff that I look at in the back end. But for now, let's just keep it high level. It's changing. Can you agree? Right? So, however, the decisions, so the way in which they buy, the decisions that they make is changing slightly. However, the process that a buyer goes through to make a decision, whether it's, no matter how you label it, there's still the same kind of logic and psychological processes that they need to go through. And this is why we center everything around the customer journey. So if we're trying to understand the decisions so that we can get better at this slightly unpredictable nature of how we now go to market. So let's do go to market. Sorry, I need to keep that up here. Go to market strategy is what connects the dots. The way that we do that effectively so that we can stay in line with buyers and customers as they go through all of these changes is to just look at what doesn't change. Now, I think it's Jeff Bezos and someone else that's famous for saying something like that. Focus on what doesn't change, because that's when your best bet is. And I think something that Amazon does is focus on the fact that people are always going to buy stuff. They're always going to want to buy stuff online as well. So if you just focus on that, you're probably going to win. So I say focus on the fundamental blocks that are involved in a customer making decisions, because that's really not going to change, right? So we have Schwartz, who created the sort of awareness funnel that everyone's familiar with, right? Like that marketing funnel. I like to expand it to something that suits the entire go-to-market team so that we're not so rigid in thinking about people who are in market and ready to buy from us. So in order for us to connect with this customer, I'm going to go back to this. To connect with this customer who's saying, I have issues and challenges and opportunities that are inside my business, and I'm trying to reach this objective, which is a desired outcome for my business. And I know that we can't do it on our own. So we're going to go out to the market and we're going to find someone that can help us. Because if they do that, then they're going to help us improve our operations. And that operations is going to allow us to realize the value that they've offered us. And from here, we can create value to the market. In order for us to get to this stage, we need to go to market that's centered around the customer. All right. What does this look like? Well, I'm going to go back to our man, Eugene Schwartz, right? But I'm going to evolve it, right? So we're going to talk about all of the decisions that are made at the different part of the customer journey. So we've got awareness, we've got consideration, we've got decision, we've got purchase. And if you've been following me for a while and you don't know that I talk about this, I'm obviously not talking about it enough. All right, so awareness, consideration, decision, purchase. My writing's so bad. Purchase. And then we've got this kind of semi-line where someone actually makes a purchase and they're your customer. So now we've got adoption, we've got expansion, we have renewal, and we have advocacy, right? I love the way also Winning by Design have like the bow tie model, right? So you're familiar with like that, and they have the kind of different functions and expansion. That's great, but we're talking about how we develop a go-to-market that's built to this. Because if we get better at understanding the decisions that need to be made, guess what? We're going to optimize for those decisions. And we're going to optimize for the different places they are in their buyer journey. So let's just quickly start up here, right? So we've got, first thing first, our go-to-market needs to consider where's someone at when it comes to awareness. So awareness is really the first time that a prospect or customer becomes aware, they're enlightened to issues, challenges, and opportunities inside their business. They're either at a stage where they understand the issues or they have some kind of vague idea about this solution that's becoming popular. And now they're trying to look internally to see if it meets any existing needs or new needs. Consideration is where they consider the options that are on the table. So I'm hungry. Do I want a burger or do I want a steak? I'm always thinking about meat. Or do I want spinach or kale? I don't know. And then decision is the decision on which direction to take. So I've got this problem and there's 3 different ways I can do it. And I'm going to choose this specific direction. Okay, so that's a decision. And then purchases, I'm actually going to go and take my money, invest in that. So hopefully I can realize the value from that. And then we have adoption. So now they're a customer. We're looking at adoption. So how are they coming on board into our organization? It's the moment that they start and they are onboarded into our organization to benefit from the products and services and solutions that we offer. And then we have expansion. It's a customer's desire to do more and get more value from you, from whatever you're providing. Renewal, they're renewing that value. So how do they come back and get the same again or more? And then advocacy at the stage where they can now go and refer, share their story and drive more business back into your business, which brings them all the way back up to here, but with another prospect. So I mentioned all of this because we want to address the pipeline problem. But the reason why I had to start with this fundamental stuff is so that you can see that everything is about value creation and value realization. And it happens on both sides of the customer org and also the vendor org, which is us as the B2B organizations. And when we start to just have that in the back of our minds all the time, it makes it really easy to start to think about, okay, so when problems occur, how do we fix them? So we're going to just label this the buyer journey. So remember that, right? So we've got awareness to purchase and we've got adoption to advocacy. So why do so many companies have a pipeline problem? Why are they not generating enough business? Okay, so let's go for, so the pipeline problem. All right, I keep saying I'm going to write in capitals. I'm going to write in capitals. So firstly, what is pipeline? Pipeline is a set of organizations or prospects that are in some kind of list, file, vault, CRM, where there is a high likelihood that they are going to buy from you. Now, the first thing, I need to make another video. There's a whole issue with how we even define pipeline. But let's just say that a pipeline is an opportunity that you actually get the potential to sell to. So there's a company, you're going to make money at some point. All right. So let's go back to we're going to flip it again. We've got B2B org. We're just going to say both ways, right? There's value creation on both sides. I've just talked this through. This is just the top of my head. So I know there's like all these structures to videos and stuff. So I just hope you're still here. All right, so we've got a B2B org and customer. We've got a B2B org that's saying, I need a go-to-market strategy to get to this customer. And the customer's saying, I have a need. Right? The need goes that way. The go-to-market strategy is trying to fulfill those needs by connecting with a customer. Now, what happens, as we said, is we have this buying journey buying journey that a customer must go through. And it's semi-linear. I know I had all those steps laid out. People always moan at me, oh, it's not that straightforward. I know it's not. But they kind of have to go through these steps. No one just goes, I want to buy something. They have to be aware of it first. You can't buy something you don't know about. You need to know if it's available and what other options are on the table. You need to make a decision, then you need to buy it. You don't just, I know it says one-click buy on Amazon, but that's still a process of awareness, whether it happens in 1 second or 100. So this buying journey is often misunderstood. So what we have is the reason why we have a pipeline problem is it starts right at the top. It starts right here. All right, so if you've seen a previous video that I made, you see that I say that people need to know 2 things, right? They need to know, actually in this context, they need to know 3 things. I need to update that video. Right, so you need to say, they need to know a problem. They need to know of a problem and see if it makes sense to them. Or as I like to call it, issues, challenges, or opportunities. They need to then know you. So they need to know your B2B org. And then, if you are a salesperson watching this, they need to know you. Now, if you're in a product-led growth organization, they don't need to know the person, but the person or a way to buy. A way to buy. Now, remember, your go-to-market strategy, as I said in the opening, is your vehicle that allows for growth. All right, it allows you to bring your products and services to the company, to this customer. The customer needs to have a need and a buying journey that allows them to receive this value that you're trying to create, so that they can realize it and get value in their own organization. So the buying journey awareness. They need to know they have a problem. They need to know your B2B. They need to know you, person, way to buy. And once they do that, they need to connect. They need to connect the dots between, let me just put that here, right? So they need to make a connection between their need and the idea of this problem, this issue, challenge, or opportunity, and also your organization. So the first thing that affects pipeline is the fact that we have ineffective awareness, which means, so there's like this ineffective awareness. And I like to break this down into, I'm going to show you how this all fits in line, right? I like to break it down into this thing that I call the 3 eyes. Again, I have made a video on this, but you don't want to watch it, so you can't see it. I gave all the goodies away already, all right? So I call this first eye, around the ineffective awareness. It really falls into the focus category, right? So it's a bit incoherent. What I mean by that is people can't find you. You don't talk about the problem. You're not known for the problem. You don't educate people on the problem. You're not even in the same realm as the problem, that need that they're thinking about. So first thing is they're like, well, you're not in the mix for this. The next thing is B2B org. So you're not around in the problem. Next thing is they don't know your organization. You're not sharing enough. They don't know what you do, how you address the problem. There's not enough information. All we're doing is saying strategic objectives, fast-paced, unprecedented, all of these weird terms that don't talk directly to the problem in regards to your organization, how you solve it. So if they don't know that they have a problem, that's the first thing. And they're not being educated on it. And then they don't know that you are a potential thing that can help to solve it. And then they don't know how to buy from you. It's all downstream from here. Then there's something that is ineffective in the awareness, right? Which starts to drive into your focus. The other thing is, what happens at the awareness stage is you do talk about something, you are slightly visible, they do see their way to buy, but this is a problem for a lot of us, even me, it's the wrong customer. Wrong customer, wrong type of customers, don't provide any profit for you. It's not someone that you want, you can land and expand and drive more value within the future. It's just the wrong type of client, which means for you, your business becomes negatively impacted, or you attract all of them into your funnel, right? You attract all of these organizations into your funnel, and then they get to the end, the bottom of your funnel, and it's a waste of time because they can't buy, they can't afford your solutions. The sales reps are like, this is a terrible opportunity. You don't have clear qualifications, so they're filtering through and they're getting too far into your business where you've spent hours, tens of thousands of pounds or dollars trying to get them in, and it's the wrong one, right? So the reason why this becomes an issue is because then you don't generate the right type of pipeline that you can close and create value for your own organization. Okay, you don't get to realize any value because the way you've commercialized your business through this go-to-market strategy that you have means that the thing that's coming back through is kind of broken and not delivering the right thing. All right, so ineffective awareness. The next thing becomes, and that ties directly to the focus, right? So we're talking about incoherent focus here, which means whatever you're doing is not generating the right kind of result because you're not focused on the right things. All right. Okay. Next one, the pipeline problem. Okay. So we're talking about, I'm going to add these terms as well again, so we can keep remembering that everything is about value creation, value realization. All right. So the next stage in that B2B buyer journey is consideration. All right. So consideration, as I said, is them understanding that you are an option. So it's, as you said, semi-linear. We can see there's a slight overlap with awareness and consideration. People would define it in a different way, but effectively the consideration, I still feel is a good, strong term to help bring it all together. So consideration means they have an issue, challenge, or opportunity. There's a need on the table, but now they are trying to consider what options are available. How do we go about solving this thing, these challenges that we have in order to reach an outcome that we're trying to do, we're trying to bring, right? So here, they're looking at options, all about options. Now, the issue that comes up here, which affects pipeline, is we are not appearing to be a viable option. Now, remember, value realization, for the most part, unless we've got some kind of proof of concept or a proof of value, is something that comes once someone buys. So during the consideration phase, our job is to increase the perception of value, the perception that we are a viable option that's going to allow a customer to realize value, which means there's a lot of things that we have to do inside our processes that show that we are aligned to how they're thinking about making the decisions, right? So I'm not going to write these all down, but I like to talk about this term called terms, right? So when people are trying to figure out options on the table, they assess it in various different ways. Sometimes it might be money first. That's another video. But it's time, effort, resources, money, and status. How much time is it going to take? How much effort is it going to take? How much resources are involved? How much money do I have to spend? How the hell is it going to affect me, my team, my business from a status perspective, both internally and externally, amongst my peers, amongst the market, and internally? That is really the simplest value framework that kind of affects everything, even in your personal life. Try it. Anyways, so when they're thinking about terms, I like to use a little S. When they're thinking about the terms of business, we have to do everything that we can to make that super clear. We have to educate them on these things. We have to understand what they think is going to go into this. We need to understand the output of the terms. So how much time do they get back? How much effort do they get back? How much resources are freed up? How much money do they make? Value realization turns into value creation for the market, and how it's going to make them look great and brilliant. All right. So there's two sides to the coin. Let me put two sides just so we can remember that, right? So two sides to terms: the inputs, how much it's going to take; the outputs, how much they get back. All right. Now the reason why, again, let's go back to our triangle. We have a pipeline problem is because 3 eyes. We lack the focus. So we have an incoherent focus, going after the wrong people. Can you imagine that, right? You go after the wrong people, but you do all of these other things, the downstream things, right? Consideration, you got all the terms out. You're like, we know all of this. And it still is going after the wrong market. So when you're like, we know it takes this much time, they're like, no, it doesn't. It takes much more time than that. You're like, oh, damn. This is how important the focus is. But here, what we have is we have an incompatible sales process, right? Or just processes in general, right? So that's the second I. So what happens here is we have all these things that we want to do. We're like, we had the introductory call and we qualified them. We're having a discovery call now where we're going to ask them lots of questions. And we're ideally going to address some stuff around MedPick, that's going to help to open up some ideas around how they are going to make a decision, or if it's going to be a good deal for us, right? Like, who's the economic buyer and what's your decision process and your decision criteria? Some of that fits into terms. Yeah, does fit into terms, right? I'm just on top of my head. What's the need? What's the metrics? What's the competition? So that all of that is great for us in understanding that. But we're going to have an incompatible sales process because we don't know that at the time that they're considering options, there's all these other decisions that they have to make. Which projects do they drop? Which projects do they lift up? When they are thinking about time and how much time it takes, what do they need to deprioritize to reprioritize this? That medic and all that stuff does not answer these questions. So we have to really, really nail this. We have to, even if you develop 20 questions, 30 ideas, theories around these things, this is how we start to address the pipeline problem. Because if we don't, we start to develop a consistent incompatible sales process. So what happens is, as we are trying to engage this customer through our processes, let's just say we're here figuratively, right, at a consideration stage, we're already out of sync. Our considerations here, their considerations there, right, because we're working in opposite directions. We are already out of sync with them. Because we're trying to do discovery, and they're still trying to figure out their need and understand how much it means to them, and understand, what's time and effort and stuff. We don't even mention that. We're just discovering them. Whereas they're aware of us now, and they're aware of a problem to some degree, still exploring it, and they're trying to figure out how do we figure this out? What can we do internally? That's all they're thinking about. How do we solve this for free? So our sales process is incompatible to the buyer journey. All right. This is very similar to decision, when they're trying to make a decision on the journey that they want to take, right? So if we add decision to here, because we've got enough space, right? So now we've got decision, right? So we've got decision here, where they need to say, out of the 3 options that we have, right? So they have option 1, option 2, option 3. Option 1 is we do it ourselves. Option 2 is we outsource to a consulting firm. Option 3 is that we buy some new tech. We can help you do that too. All right, so they buy some new tech. They're going for option 3. That's them making a decision. This is not them making a decision on you. Again, this is where we have an incompatible sales process, because what we're doing is we're like, yes, they've chosen to buy this tech. Let's send them a proposal. Let's send them a contract sometimes. And then what happens? You don't hear back from them. I call this, they go into it's a gray cloud of doom where all the proposals live and they have parties, right? So the decision is them saying, we've decided on a direction and now we have to deep dive into that. That's why sometimes they need to go into, again, working out for the second time. What does this mean in regard to the terms, right? So terms, again, is a value creation framework, a value creation and value realization framework, right? So now we're trying to work out they're going to work out, again, we made this decision on this tech, but what does that now involve? Time, effort, resources, money, because they do it at a high level here. And this is where we start to see RFIs come out when they're talking about big, complex deals and enterprise deals. And then this is where we're going to see an RFP come out. So you're never going to see someone send an RFP for outsourcing services and technology. It's not going to happen. An RFP is going to be a decision document, right? It's a decision process that they're creating, which still surfaces around here. Time, effort, resources, money, resources. What have you done? What's getting into it? All of this stuff. All right. Now, the next I, which creates the pipeline problem. So I'm going to talk about, let's draw this up. Can we see the bottom of this? Actually, we can stick here. The next I that comes up is an inconsistent methodology. Now, this is not just a sales methodology, which is how we go about executing our sales processes. All right. So methodologies are the tactics and the things that we do. The sales process is the semi-linear steps. So in our methodology, what we have is go-to-market inconsistencies. This is everything from how we set targets through to what we do on the ground. So let me give you an example. We developed a strategy and we now have a way that we've connected to a customer. We've created some kind of call, some outbound campaign that's generated a lead or a marketing qualified account or a marketing qualified lead, whatever it is. Maybe the outbound sales reps created that lead because we've done enough to create the perception of some kind of value. And value happens across this entire journey, different value points, again, for another video, or maybe a paid workshop. So what happens here is we've created a perception, right, of value. So they're like, great, let's have a call. So now we have that call and maybe it's a junior rep or an inside sales rep, or maybe it's a salesperson. They are having this call and they're speaking to this prospect about some stuff. And they're doing whatever they want on this call, right? And they've got a deck, but the way they articulate certain messaging is wrong. The value proposition is different from everyone else's. They have this, the way they run the call is wrong. Some people are doing demos, some people aren't. It's not really meeting the criteria. You've got marketing doing one thing and making this promise. You've got salespeople delivering a different message. You've got the handover for customer success saying we don't actually do that. This is how it works. There's just lots of inconsistencies in the experience and in the things, the methods, the tactics that your go-to-market teams are executing. So what that means is really at the early stages, you start to see fall-offs, right? So let me give you an example of things that come up, right? So inconsistent qualification, inconsistent definitions of what is a good and bad prospect inside the organization. You will not believe how much I've seen this working with all the teams that I've worked with. Someone's like, oh, marketing created this collateral for us, and the reps and even the VP of sales is like, yeah, we don't sell to those people. It never works. So we focus on our own prospects and our own personas. It's like, so what is all this money being wasted doing the other work, right? So lack of definitions, lack of focus on KPIs. You've got targets that are all inconsistent, sometimes conflicting. I've seen compensation for sales reps that decentivize them from going over 100%. So why the hell would I go over 100%? Doesn't make any sense. Decentivize multi-year engagement, not on purpose. It's just happened over time, right? So the go-to-market strategy, remember what I said? Remember what I said here? We get so busy as time changes and our business is scaling and getting better at operationalizing the business. And I appreciate we need that. We need that because without the operations, we can't function to commercialize anything. We don't end up having any products that we can sell. We don't have no teams, right? So we need to commercialize the business, which is like putting something into effect that's going to create a financial gain. And that is our go-to-market strategy. But we don't get enough resources to do this well. So it just becomes business as usual. Keep doing what you're doing as often as possible until you become really stale. And then guess what we see? We see revenue stagnate or decline because we haven't innovated fast enough. Everyone's gone ahead of us. Then we look at the competition and what they're doing, and then we try to mimic them, not knowing that that was not our destiny. We shouldn't be mimicking the competition. We have to create our own journey, right? Someone said on one of my podcasts that customers need to get better at creating their own benchmarks. So that's the job that you have. All right, so going back to wherever I was, the 3 I's and the pipeline problem, there's lots of different inconsistencies in how we go about doing stuff day to day inside the go-to-market strategy. That is the thing that allows us to make money. So our job when we're thinking about this pipeline problem is to look at the 3 I's. But let's just go into summarizing those points so we can figure out how we get better at them. All right, so let's make that bigger. Okay, so 3 I's of the pipeline problem. Man, this is a long video and I haven't taken no breaks. I'm just rolling with it. All right, so 3 I's of the pipeline problem. So we said incoherent focus. So incoherent. I should have prepared all of these. I know when people make videos, they prepare all this stuff. You understand? It just comes in my head, and that's what I do, right? So all right, so we have a pipeline problem. We are not generating enough. That's what everyone says. And it's so funny because I work with teams and I'm not directly involved in everything, right? So I might be coming in to do a very specific thing and I'm just like, let me at it. I just let me do more, right? So I can't help it. It's how my brain works. So I'll see people say, let's pour more in. Let's loosen up the qualification and let's get more calls in. And sometimes that is actually the best strategy. Again, that's for another video. But what happens is we're quite short-sighted because we want to quickly drum something up. But if we just focused on the fundamentals, then we'll probably solve the problem over the long term without spending too much money. The first thing you want to think about is the focus, right? So I've got a framework called Focused. I'm not going into it. Go on my LinkedIn, go to articles, go to my newsletter, Sell Like You Care, and there's a whole breakdown of it. But essentially, we want to look at, depending on the state of your business, right? We want to try and figure out, where do we have UPS? Not a delivery company. UPS is like what I try to use as an evolution of USP. I think USP is a bit vomit in mouth. UPS is go where you are uniquely positioned to solve something, right? So when we're talking about go to market, if an organization, again, another video, if they are firmly believe that developing better alignment with their customers is how they win, I believe that Revenue Funnel is uniquely positioned to solve that, because all we've done is built frameworks along that buyer journey to help optimize your business in line with that customer journey, the decisions they actually have to make. So we're thinking through this. That's all we do. We obsess over what's changing with awareness, what's changing with consideration, what's changing with technology, with processes, with systems, with beliefs, all of those things to help you figure out how you get better at that. So go where you are uniquely positioned to solve something. And sometimes you might have a right now. So right now TAM, right? So I call it a right now TAM. I know we talk about like serviceable addressable market, right? So we may have a time where we're like, who can we actually solve for right now? What do we have in our own hands at our disposal to actually serve this very specific market and this very specific need? So we need to get focused really quickly, because if we do that, then we're actually going to fish in the right pond. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to be developing our go-to-market strategy that allows us to take value creation to a customer that they can realize that value in the wrong place, because it doesn't work. The next thing is we need to get our sales process lined up with the buyer journey, right? So once we're pointing in the right direction, it's like tick, perfect. At least we're going after the right types of companies. Now we want to get in line with their buyer journey. So now we've got the perfect type of customer. Now we're looking at, now how do you make decisions? We know how you make decisions because we've been obsessing over you, sir and miss customer. And now we're going to help to navigate you through this amazing buyer journey. You've just become aware of the problem? No problem. Here's a guide to help you think through that internally. If you go on our website and you go to resources, we have a guide to help people think through how they work with consultants. Because guess what? You may not need us. You may need an advisor, or you may have someone internally. So we help you make the decision not to solve the problem with someone else. These are the kind of resources and tools that you need to make available. All right. So we want to make sure that our sales process talks to the buyer journey. Then what we want to do, it's not a then and when, to be fair, it happens all at once. But when we get that better, then we want to make sure that we don't have inconsistent targets and KPIs and focuses and descriptions and value propositions and messaging. inside our business, because guess what happens? We don't want our customers who are very well versed on us, because so much information is out there, to come with an anchored version, a perception of what they think we are or who we think we are, or a perception of what they believe we can do, only for them to get to a point where they engage with us face to face in a synchronous communication where they're like, holy crap, this is not what I thought you did. This is really different from what I saw on your website, really different to what I saw your reps post on LinkedIn, extremely different from the email you sent me. It's very different from the event that I saw you at. We have to create this, because guess what happens? Every time we get this wrong, this is what happens with our pipeline. We kill it. So, oh, we have lots of prospects. Oh, we're focused on the wrong ones. No pipeline. Wow, we have some prospects and we're engaging with them, but we are getting everything wrong, and now they're ghosting us because we're not understanding their journey, and we're trying to say that they're going to be a hot prospect when they're not. Wow, we just lost more here. We're also, our sales processes are incompatible with their buyer journey, which means we're not asking the right questions to derive the right value, because we don't really understand how they make decisions, which means we're selling to them at 10K when this really should be a 45K opportunity. Don't want to do that. I've seen customers, I've told reps when a customer's going to buy, because they are so damn cheap. And I've seen how big the problem is for the customer. How can a customer have a £2.5 million problem and you sell to them at 40K? Doesn't really make sense, particularly when you can do value selling. But anyways, the next thing is we're talking to these customers. We get them to a stage where they're engaging with us, they know about us, they're problem aware, but they can't get their head around what the hell we do, because we're so inconsistent with how we are delivering our message. It's not clear. We're giving them a bad experience. Marketing is still sending emails to this person and they're a prospect, and now they're getting a discount stuff, and there's just all these inconsistencies in how they do things. So guess what? We're losing more pipeline. It's just not getting there, right? So the focus area, remember, is all around that first point, when it starts from the moment that they think about their problem. Awareness without an N, and awareness and consideration. So it starts from where they think about their problem and start to consider the options. That's part of the focus area. We don't want to be driving inbounds. We don't want to be going out prospecting to customers where they don't have a clear problem that we can solve, unique positionally so, and we're not seen as a viable option to solve their problem, even though it's like on paper we're decent. It's because we're focused on the right area, so the wrong area, sorry. So there's an incoherent focus. So when we're thinking about the pipeline problem and how we start to address it, we first need to locate where all of the issues are, and then once we have that like checklist of this is where we think all of the issues are, when we think about the buyer journey, when we think about the focus, the process, and the methodology, then we want to start working towards addressing it. So do we do this internally? To some part, it will mean you have the resources to do so, but there's also going to be times when you need to reach out externally. Okay. And if you're this far in the video, I'm going to spend a couple minutes telling you what we do in order to make that happen. Right. So revenue funnel, as I said, we do go-to-market consulting, where we've created this ecosystem that allows you to create plans, create and execute plans that allow you to 4x your pipeline. Why do we say 4x? Why not? We've actually generated plans that show much more pipeline than that. But for this case, 4x sounds safe and reasonable. We created an ecosystem that helps you execute on that plan, whether it's me centering you on the strategy. As you know, I obsess over this. I bring in my partners who are vetted to make sure that they can help you do more of the intricate stuff, right? So this is what we do to help you with that. All right, so I've got a few more minutes. All right, so revenue funnel. Why did I call the business revenue funnel? It sounded like a great idea at the time. I still think it's decent. Anyway, so revenue funnel, what are we doing? All right, so we are looking at that entire journey, right? So we're looking at the customer and we're looking at your organization. And we're saying what is happening, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. We're saying what is happening around this. All we're doing is we're helping you to close the gaps between the inconsistencies, the incompatibility, and the incoherent ways that you're trying to address this customer need. That means that the value that you're trying to create can be realized by the customer. And how we do that is in a few stages, right? So we have phase 1, where we do an audit and assessment. Everyone hates these. You know why? Because every customer doesn't know what they don't know. So when you tell them that, hey, we're going to do an audit and assessment, they come to you by saying, I know what is wrong with my organization, Hannah. I don't need you to do this. I just need you to help us implement Gong, or I need you to implement Salesforce or fix HubSpot. We're like, we will get to that point, but I can guarantee we're going to find something here that you're not really thinking about, right? Something as simple as, you know, that the headings across your website don't allow you to be indexed on Google properly, which means no one can find you. Didn't think about that in your sales process, did you? Right? So we do that because we want to make you aware of the things that you don't know. And we also want to give you a plan, right? So this is where we develop a plan. So what is this plan? This plan looks at your entire go-to-market organization and helps to identify how all of the issues and ways that you can address them in order to generate more pipeline. And we will quantify that for you. So we're going to give you a plan that says this is going to help unlock 4 million or 10 million. The most recent one was $75 million. Dollars. And it's like, do these things and you're going to be on your pathway to that. Now, what we love about what we do is we cannibalize our business, the worst business model ever. But I do that because it is developing trust. We give you enough information in that plan so that you can do it on your own if you so choose. Alternatively, you may say, Hannah, can you and your team come and help us to execute this amazing plan that you've just created? All right. If you say that you want us to execute it, fantastic, because then we move to phase 2, right? So phase 2 is pretty much, it has a fancy name, but we're just going to call it execution. It's where we actually go out and do the work for you. So you can imagine us reporting into you if you're a growth leader, helping you to get through all these changes while you go be great. We're going to give you a narrative. This is what everybody misses out on. Because guess what? Change management is awful. People, they're like, what's in it for me? We show them, but they're still like, I can't see the change fast enough. There's delays. But if we can form a narrative, then we can help you tell the stories back to your organization that helps them to understand that there's progress being made. And I'll tell you the best example of this. I know nothing about cars, but I love car analogies. So think about this. You get in your car and you put in a postcode or a zip code to the destination that you're trying to reach. And then it says it's going to take 60 minutes. You start driving and all of a sudden, boom, there's an accident. You don't know that straight away, but it shows that there's an extra hour to your journey. 20 minutes in, the kids are like, are we there yet? And you're like, no, we're not. But you're like, look at the map, kids. You can still see that line's red, but all of that one's blue. So we're going to get to Nanny and Granddad's, wherever that is, by this time. Keep watching the clock. Ha, 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 he. Keep playing with your iPads. The same thing goes with the organization. There will be times when you are doing execution and you are going through change management that things will not go to plan. This is where people are like, I'm so scared. But what we're doing is we're giving you a narrative and a map so you know what are the implications for things, what's the contingency plans, what could go wrong, what could go right, what do you have to consider, how much is it going to cost, how much time is it going to take. Terms of business, we eat our own dog food or drink our own champagne is what I prefer. So that you don't look like a crazy person when you are engaging with your board, with your senior leaders, and you're like, I've got this, okay? So once we do that, again, phase 3, it's an option. Everything's up and running and it's great within weeks or months, depending on what the requirements are. Now we want to go to the phase, which is around optimizing, right? So here, this is where we're going to start doing more sophisticated stuff to help you make things better. I call this phase 2, becoming effective. Effectiveness is about delivering on an intended outcome. Is this thing, this plan, that is predicting to generate X revenue or show us signs that we can generate X revenue doing that? And we need to work together to make it effective so that it's doing the thing that's intended. Phase 3 is about efficiency. So the thing that we're doing, that effective mechanism, the vehicle that we've now created for you around your go-to-market strategy, is it delivering in the best way with the least amount of effort and least amount of resources? And that's what we want to do. We want to optimize different parts of it. So that's essentially how revenue funnel works, considering all these things. So the pipeline problem is a pervasive problem for most B2B organizations. It can really impact an organization to the point where they actually have to make really harsh decisions about the people, the systems, the partners that they work with. And it also means that sometimes it has to sacrifice on a quality that they're delivering to their customers, which is customers don't get to realize the value that was promised. So what we're doing through Revenue Funnel is trying to fundamentally change how companies do business. One, by simplifying go-to-market strategy, so anyone, any leader in an organization feels empowered and has the knowledge to develop and execute one. And two, create more symbiosis, so creating a symbiotic sale, which essentially means a new go-to-market philosophy that is mutually beneficial. So everybody wins: your partners, your vendors, your community, your customers, and you. So if any of that sounds interesting, please hit me up. My details are somewhere. I'm online. Hit me up on LinkedIn. But thank you for watching this video. If you got to this stage, it means a lot to me. And I really hope now that you've taken away lots of nuggets for how you can think about fixing the pipeline problem inside your organization. Until next time, see you soon.